If you've ever wondered how to build a job board that actually lasts, Roger Lear is your guy. He's been in the game for 25 years, from launching greatinsurancejobs.com to transforming orlandojobs.com into a regional powerhouse. In this episode, he's pulling back the curtain on the real strategies that work and what to avoid if you're just getting started. Let's dive in. Roger, thank you very much for joining me today.
Glad to be here, man. It's awesome.
Great to have you. Great to have you. So let's jump into it. Roger, um, you've built a portfolio of some really successful job boards, orlandojobs.com, greatinsurancejobs.com. It's a real, when I was looking at it, it's a really fascinating duality. And I was wondering, what's the biggest difference between conquering a city from from a specialist perspective compared to conquering an industry from an insurance perspective? And what can job board owners learn from that contrast?
Yeah, that's a great observation. OrlandoJobs.com just turned 20 years old
Wow.
somehow, some way. I don't know how that happened, but the the thing about OrlandoJobs.com, it gave it since we're based in Orlando, it gave us an opportunity to get out into the community and get super involved with the local HR chapters, all the different community partners that like Jobs Partnership and Central Florida Employment Council and things like that, and build amazing ties with these organizations that all directed traffic and jobs and potential clients back to Orlando Jobs, knowing that we were very authentic, and also the opportunity to go see our clients physically. In a lot of cases over the years, especially before everything changed and everything is a Teams meeting now, right, or something like that. But back then it was nobody was doing stuff like that, and it was good. Now the insurance industry and Great Insurance Jobs, ironically, turns 25 years old next year, and it's hard to believe that that as well. But the
Wow.
biggest challenge as a job board owner there is getting not the business necessarily, but getting the traffic, because of the spend of these companies of having all of our clients like Travelers and AIG and things like that. They have jobs all over the place, and we have to be in so many different cities and things like that. So the way we've been combating that is over the years, and we're the only job board that does it in the insurance industry, and even our competitors like Indeed and blah blah blah. But they never go to these specialized conferences, and we go to about
Yeah.
7 or 8 of them a year. And when you go and your clients see you at these conferences and know that, hey, you're not going to get 85 resumes for a claims adjuster, you're going to get probably 10, and you're probably going to be able to hire one or two of them, and
Yeah.
but they're going to know that the connection came from all the things that we do with the partnerships and associations and stuff like that. The biggest, to your question, it's they really are different businesses, and in a way we all do the same thing, except in Orlando it's given us a we can see the connections.
Yeah.
We do local events. We just did Hire Day Orlando, where we rent out the entire Kia Center, and that's where the Orlando Magic play basketball and stuff like that. And
Mm.
had about 90 employers there. We had over 3,000 job seekers show up. We had community partners, free headshots, resume reviews, all the things for an unbelievable community day. And then all of a sudden, all the press shows, and they're doing stories about the job, because the job world now is back in the news, because it's a little bit softer market over here, right?
Yeah.
And they were amazed how many jobs we had at this thing, right? And that kind of stuff. But in the insurance industry, we can't do that. That's you can't have that centralized thing. So we do virtual job fairs, but they're nowhere nearly as successful as a local, really, well, first class stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. The insurance industry is an industry a lot of people don't know anything about, and it's an amazing industry with tons and tons and tons of jobs and stability and stuff like that. Orlando, we're all over the place. We have the greenhouse jobs where they can't hire enough people. Disney, Universal, everyone thinks about that, but all the companies that support our tourism market here, all are looking for people, but those jobs are a little bit lower paying. Then we have our technology people, we have our engineering, we have it's just healthcare big time, all that other stuff. So yeah.
No, and such an incredible contrast when you think about it. Locally able to kind of have those real in-person human kind of relationships, whereas kind of a nationally wide or even globally wide niche, is very much around a
Right.
different type of relationship and a different knowledge level as well.
Sure.
Ultimately, so absolutely get that. So let's go back in time a bit. So as you said, 25 years for great insurance jobs and 20 years for Orlando, for jobs in Orlando. What was your background before that? What inspired you to enter the job board space? What were those? What was that moment that made you think this is a good idea?
And I would tell anybody, I think the moment that I had is the same moment that's taking place now with AI. But I graduated from Florida State here in Florida, but I knew that I needed something else to do with my life, so I started an insurance executive search firm called
Okay.
Lear and Associates, and that was in 1991. And when I started that, um, I didn't know I didn't know the difference between a claims adjuster and an underwriter or anything. I mean, I met somebody that said, "Hey, do this and you'll make a lot of money," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it turns out that it wasn't that easy. But I still Lear Associates still is working today too, which is still blows my mind. But
Amazing.
the but the but I really got to learn about um, the insurance business. But just like everything in business, one of the things, the keys to anybody that wants to be in business is you got to find people that are smarter than you, and you also have to be involved in associations and things like that, and go to meetings and learn. Because if you don't, you're dead in the water. And I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman named Jay Rollins, who one day came to me and said, "Hey, this internet thing is coming on." This was like 1995, and he goes, "It's going to probably replace you." Just kind of like job boards have been dead for years, and
Yeah. Yeah.
AI is going to replace the world. All that stuff, right? So I said, that sounds interesting. So he goes, "Yeah, you have to register domain names." And back then it was like ridiculous amount of money to register a domain name. And it really was just, they changed from, I don't know if you remember this, but they went from IP
Yeah.
addresses to domain names, right?
Yeah.
Overnight, basically. And then, so anyway, so I go, "Good. Well, I'll start an insurance job board then." And so I go, "I'll do insurance jobs." And he goes, "Oh, you can't." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because I already have that one." "Oh, then I'll do this one." "Oh, I already got actuary.com. I already got," and I'm like, "All right." He has all the good ones, right? And so that's how I came up with great insurance jobs. And I said, "That sounds pretty cool." So I registered that, and um, back then it was, now you can register a domain name, I think, for like $10 or $20 or whatever. Back then it was $800. It wasn't cheap at all or anything. So you had to be real careful, especially, whatever. But the key back then, though, the thing that is so interesting to me when I look back at that is when you build a job board from scratch. There were no JBoards back then.
Mm.
There were no Magics. There were no job, whatever. You built it from scratch, and you had to hire a team of people. And the team that we hired loved them to death, but it probably cost $250,000 to build the first reiteration of Great Insurance Jobs, and they had project managers, graphic designers, database administrators. I mean, everybody and nobody. These whiteboard. Oh my God, I don't know. I don't know how I invested in that, to be honest, because I was running my recruiting firm, using the revenues from that to pay that. I took one of my recruiters, made him kind of the operations guy over that, so I could, continuously fund this thing, and then we went live, and we were very fortunate because we were able to sign a partnership with the national underwriter, which at the time was the premier insurance magazine. I mean, this is the New York Times of the insurance industry, and we signed a partnership, and they really helped us escalate our credibility once the market got going, right, and job postings and stuff like that. So that was a really cool journey, and lots of learning points, lots of ups and downs. But it did establish us years ago, and we're still in that same spot as the if you're looking for a job in insurance, there's probably some pretty good ones over here. So that's
Amazing.
that's that's that. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you mentioned, a couple of kind of bumps in the road there. What were some of those early challenges that you faced? How did you navigate through them?
Yeah. Oh, it is the biggest challenge, and you know is technology and having your own. Once we had the boards done, we had our own team then, technology wise, and with all the changes, just like what's going on today, you just can't move fast enough with your own
Mm,
team. You can't do it, and you can't afford to. The business model doesn't allow for hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology spend. It just doesn't. At the end of the day, the job board, you got to be able to post jobs. Candidates have to be able to apply, and they've got to be able to do that on a phone and very quickly. And to do that with your own technology. So that was a major up and down. The server management, everything's in the cloud now, but remember server farms. Well, same.
yeah, yeah,
It's still there's still server farms. The clouds are server, but it, if your thing went down, it was down. I mean, our uptime was probably, I don't even know, maybe 90%. It was horrible,
yeah.
and then people, with all the privacy stuff, once that got going, that was never a really big thing, but you could break into any of these websites without even thinking twice about it. So we had a couple challenges there, but it was a really cool process. So, and if I didn't have my recruiting firm working as well, I never would have been able to support both those things, and feel decent, like things were going to move forward. But
Mm,
within about a year and a half, that thing was self sufficient, and we didn't have a huge staff or anything. But we did hire our first employee, salesperson, and so forth, and they were able to go out, and they're literally educating companies on what this means, and so we were able to make some pretty good alliances there.
interesting, interesting. And did you find that that was starting to compete with the search firm? Did you feel like there was a bit of competition between the job
Oh,
board and the
never.
search? No.
No, no, and no one ever knew there was any correlation between the two anyway, and
Yeah.
and I always thought that was an issue, but we'll talk about that later. But that's, I think, a big opportunity for job board owners, is understanding that
Yeah.
clients need talent, and they would love to get it through a job board by just posting a job and getting a candidate and having somebody else do all the interviews and just them show up one day, right, without them doing anything. That's exactly what a client wants, but that's not reality. The reality is they need a lot of resources, but to be able to find the right people and get them hired, onboarded, all that other stuff. But and it could require other resources for sure.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that totally. Um, so, um, you've obviously got the experience of both the insurance niche and also the regional kind of focus on Orlando jobs. If somebody was starting a job board today, what factors should they consider when deciding whether to go kind of deep from a niche perspective or whether to go wide from a regional perspective? What are those factors that a startup should consider to make that decision?
Yeah, I think anyone that's starting a job board today, first of all, has to understand that the math that they do in their heads. Hey, I'm going to get 100 postings at $300 a piece every single week, and this is how I'm going to make one. It doesn't work that way, And I say that initially because when you're deciding on what you should do a job board in, you have to take into consideration a couple things. The number one thing for us in anything is what is the challenges within the market that you're putting your job board in, and for instance, just for the insurance industry, we know that 40% of the insurance professionals are retiring in the next 3 years, right? And that's a real stat theoretically, whatever that means. And when you are looking at either your niche or your city or whatever it is, that could be a potential opportunity. And then you research and find out who's might be serving that opportunity, and then figure out what competitive advantage that you might have by building a job board to be able to be a solution based type of company. I do believe the days of the job board person that wants to start a job board and just fill it up with crap backfill jobs and try to get clicks and do some social media posts. I think, well, you'll never make a lot of money doing that, but those days I think are over for a lot of people, potentially. And again, I'm just speaking candidly. If you're serious about making a business, a job board owner has to understand their market, has to understand the challenges within that market, and then have the internal staff to be able to go and talk to the your clients, because they're the ones that are paying the bills, and figure out how they can fit in. And then when you get especially if you're starting a job board, how you're going to get traffic to that job board is just it's there's a lot there. And um, most job boards that are starting will just buy traffic, and so forth, and a lot of that traffic
Yeah.
doesn't get hired, and it takes a while to get your natural traffic going. But I think for a job board owner, if you decide to do a niche city or a niche sector of any marketplace, I think there's a huge advantage now with so many other ways to drive traffic to a job board, that if you understand that, and can get your clients some decent hires, and it doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, and you customer service them, it'll be a good match for you.
Mm.
It's tough.
No, that's great. That's absolutely great. And one of the things that you've consistently mentioned about driving, either regional or sector-specific niches is around strategic partnerships, building partnerships with, you know, magazines, underwriters, but also regionally with HR forums and associations. So it seems like that's quite a sensible route to take in order to grow a job board. What advice would you give to job board owners who are looking to forge those partnerships? Yeah, what are the potential pitfalls that you should avoid when trying to create those partnerships?
Yeah, I think the biggest pitfall for most is they're not involved themselves, right? You can join any of the associations that you want to partner with and get to know the players within that partnership. This world is about people, and it's about knowing people, and it's about people liking you and you liking them. And I can't even stress enough that if you want to be successful in any business, it doesn't matter, job board or anything, you better get out there and meet as many people as you can. And hopefully a lot of people that are a lot smarter than you, because if they like you, they're going to take you under their wing and help you achieve a lot of the goals. But with the associations, I forged an amazing opportunity with our local SHRM chapter called Go SHRM. It has 800 HR members, right? And I formed this about 15 years ago, and it's still active today. And I went to them and I said to them, I said, because all associations have one thing in common: they all need revenue. And they have something in most associations called non-dues revenue, and things that they don't get from conferences or and so forth. And I went to them and I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And you're gonna have to trust me on this because we don't have any traffic to our site yet. But this is what I'm going to do for you. But we said we'll give all of the Go SHRM members a opportunity to go on OrlandoJobs.com, and they get a free post all your jobs, anything that you want to do with the site, resumes, blah blah blah, for 45 days for free. And then if they want to stay on, they'll get discounted rates on whatever products are. And we had a price sheet and all this other stuff. And
Yeah.
back then it was more about job postings and job packs and things like that. And then what we did was we whatever they got the discount, and then we took whatever the total was and gave them 10% of that deal back to Go SHRM. And on a monthly basis, we literally got up to where we were um, giving them a significant amount of money every single month. And it was really it really worked out well. In return, we were able to be a sponsor at all their monthly meetings and be involved in a lot of their community events and things like that.
Mm.
The Go SHRM partnerships over the years have been very instrumental in the core fabric of Orlando Jobs and getting known and stuff like that. But every association that we do, and we have quite a few in the insurance industry. We have others in Orlando as well. I don't do any other revenue share models with anybody. I haven't had to, because like the CLM, the Claims Litigation Management, amazing organization, amazing, and they needed jobs, claims jobs for their website just as a resource. And we asked them. They said, "Hey, we'll feed these over to you." They built out their own technology over there, and now we're able to not only um, provide those jobs for them, and they're excited about that. But for us, we say, hey, your jobs also get posted to the CLM, website. Get a claims job, and it has all the top claims professionals in the country. So, I mean, it's just those are the things, and job board owners, they, it floors me. It absolutely floors me that a lot of, well, the successful ones get it. Though so many startups fail because they just don't work the business. It doesn't happen through emails and spamming talent acquisition managers offering free posts. It doesn't. None of that stuff works if you're really gonna build something, and it's not going to happen overnight. You gotta you know that my thing to a job board owner would be, really take a look at how you're going to be competitive, but how you're going to also make a difference and give back give back to whatever community that you're going to be in. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic piece of advice there to give back as well. I think is super important. Really, really important. So that you've had an incredible career so far in this space. 20, 25 years of running job boards. But looking forward, looking into the future, hopefully kind of into the crystal balls and the tea leaves. Um, where do you think the biggest challenges and opportunities are going to be over the next 5 years for job boards? We've already mentioned, some of the changing winds and the changing ways that we're seeing in the world. What do you think? What's going to happen in the next 5 years?
Well, I think a few things. Number one, AI is going to play a role in a lot of things, but it's still not going to play. The AI never had childhood drama. So if people really understand what that means, they're going to know that the job business of connecting employers and job seekers is an emotional human interaction. And yeah, there's some certain jobs that can be done without a human ever touching it, and I get that. But um, clients, humans still want to be human, and they still want to have interactions and things like that. So I don't think anything like that has changed. I think the opportunity for a job board owner today is off the charts awesome because, in my opinion, and this is what we're doing, I'm getting ready to release two huge networks. And these networks, one's called the Insurance Talent Network, and it's going to be all of our, I've been buying up some sites and things like that, but it's great insurance jobs, claims jobs, underwriting jobs, go down the list, and then insurance sales jobs. And then Florida, I have Miami jobs, Tampa Bay jobs, Jacksonville jobs, Orlando jobs, Tallahassee jobs, all this other stuff. But the big challenge in our industry right now is this backfill nightmare that's going on. And companies buying and selling candidates and email addresses and resumes, not giving a damn about a hire, not caring one iota. And that has to go away, in my opinion. And the way that goes away is you have natural traffic to your job boards, and you build your own network, and you have your own direct connection when a candidate comes in, where they can't quick apply to 80 positions in 5 seconds. Our friends at Indeed, they're just crazy over there, right? And in a way, what I mean by that is talk to any employer. They have to use them because they're not doing backfill jobs. They just have fake jobs. And I'm not abusing Indeed people, but what I mean by that is anybody can access that site, but they're not buying jobs and doing all that other stuff. When you apply to a job, you still have a decent chance to get noticed. The challenge is they mask emails, they mask resumes, they mask all this stuff. Now they even make you sign in before you can even do anything. And for employers, if they want to contact anybody, they have to basically talk to Jesus first, to make that happen. And that's not how the business works. The business for talent acquisition is they want real quality traffic, knowing that they're going to get a lot of crap. Nobody's going to get rid of the crap. But if you make the process very simple, direct into their applicant tracking systems, things like that, the thing about the job boards, though, that gets me more excited is now we have a way to be so competitive to get traffic to these sites. And with our networks, we're doing something completely different, and to drive traffic, because we're hiring um, influencers all over the place that are going to be part of our influencer team to help drive our message in a fun way, right? And then we're also going to do our own, a completely different market. You'll start seeing it come out because we're announcing the Insurance Now Network at RIMS, which is in Chicago in a couple weeks, and very very excited about it. But uh, we've been testing a lot of this stuff here, and it's I'm just really excited. The other thing for job board owners too is with AI being able to really do a deep dive into a marketing campaign to drive traffic and how to do that, and also maybe
Yeah.
not make the creatives. I mean, some can. I mean, well, they all can. Some of them just look. I mean, I still think a great graphic designer is worth their weight in gold and so forth. But I even there, you're watching chat come up with these unbelievable graphics, right? I mean, it's just crazy. But all of that stuff and being able to analyze your analytics like no other, right? Of being able to figure out, hey, what's working, what's not, with one click now, instead of having to take forever to analyze that. That's a huge opportunity. And I believe we're at the flip phone stage of that. That's why I think there's a huge opportunity for um, job boards. The new search engines are going to be the chats, GBTs, and the Geminis, and everything else. You want to be cited in those things, so you have to make sure your site is structured properly, so it has the information that chat would love to know, and stuff like that, because it's capturing tremendous amount of search traffic, right, and so forth. So I think we're at that I think we're right at the beginning of that opportunity. So I look forward to seeing. I look forward to seeing what's going to happen, man. So I'm very very
Yeah,
very
me too.
positive about it. Very positive about it.
No, absolutely. I'm excited to see what the future looks like as well. And I I think it's excellent, absolutely excellent. So the last question I tend to ask people is, if you were going to start a job board today, and with all of the experience that you've gathered over the last 20, 25 years, what are the three things that you would do differently?
Well, the first thing is I would have a much better in the early days a much better CRM to manage the whole process. So we know where people are calling, what the messaging is, and all that other stuff. Thankfully, in today's world, you've got a lot of that stuff, but it's still, with all the bells and all the whistles, still takes a while to get it set up the proper way, and so forth. But we're very big fans of HubSpot and their CRM and all the AI capabilities within that. So a good CRM. Two, I would say you have to understand the problem that you're solving and understand that there is no such thing as beginning a job board and having traffic and employers come and start posting jobs. And if I were to start a job board again today, I think I'd jump out a window. I don't know how I would do it, except I would tell anybody that is starting a job board today is get with a mentor that has started job boards in the last 10 years or so, whenever, and just absolutely ask them every question under the sun. Most people want to give away everything because everyone knows that successful in anything is they can tell you all day long, if you really want to do it, you can do it. A lot of people choose to, everyone's looking for the easy button. There is not one, in my opinion, the job board. But maybe there is. I don't know. I haven't found it yet. And was one other thing. Let's see. The third thing is you gotta, for me, the thing that changed us was hiring better people instead of trying to go. We just didn't have a lot of money, and we
Mm.
really put these the way we sold our business and or sold the packages and things like that. We made it more commission heavy than salary heavy, and we were unable to attract the best. And when we switched it the other way around, it really changed the direction of Great Insurance Jobs, no question about that. And as a matter of fact, yeah, I've had some of the top people in the industry start here. They've gone other places, but they've started here, made a mark, and then we couldn't afford them anymore. So, so that's what I would tell you.
Brilliant. No, absolutely brilliant. So 3 absolutely fantastic things to think about. I really love that last one. Really, really love that last one as well. Roger, thank you so much for giving up your time to impart the absolute wisdom that you've accumulated over what is a fantastically long and successful career
Yeah.
in the job board space, and looking forward to many more years in the future. But for now, Roger, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Hey, excellent conversation. Thank you, man.